4 explanations for why 5G is significantly more dangerous than earlier generations of wireless technology. For example, 5G is predicted to be particularly dangerous for each of the 4 different reasons. Number 1, the extraordinarily high numbers of antennae that are planned. Number 2, the very high energy outputs which will be used to ensure penetration. I don't even like the way that sounds. Number 3, the extraordinarily high pulsation levels. Number 4, the apparent high level interactions of the 5G frequency on charged groups, presumably, I cannot speak in English today, including the voltage sensor charged groups. So what does this mean? Let's get into it some more. He begins by speaking about the current safety guidelines for 2G, 3G, 4G technologies, rightly pointing out that the government-approved guidelines ignore any adverse reactions that occur at dosages or exposures below said guidelines. In other words, as Paul points out, they are meaningless when it comes to safety. He goes on to discuss the ways in which this technology adversely affects human health, citing extensive scientific documentation. These are the most important points to listen to, mi gente. Number 1, lowered fertility. Number 2, neuropsychiatric effects. Number 3, cellular DNA damage. Número 4, apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. Number 5, oxidative stress and free radical damage. Number 6, endocrine hormonal effects. Number 7, excessive intracellular calcium. Number 8, cancer. Ouch. His conclusion does not mince words when describing 5G, saying that this rollout is absolutely insane. Mi gente, there is a lot more that's happening. I just wanted to be a little squeaky wheel today. Research 5G. And I shared this in a previous earlier episode of Cafecito Break, in which I was speaking to someone who works in the mayor's office. And when I brought up 5G, the person was laughing at me like I was this crazy conspiracy theorist. But this is not coming from a crazy conspiracy theory. Research 5G. Find out for yourself why this is not a good idea. And I'll tell you, look, a lot of people are experiencing discomforts just with the technology available right now. I'll tell you my confession. My fingers are so sensitive because of all the screen, smartphone, touching, being on my laptop. There are some times that I have to shut down all forms of technology because my fingers, there's like this. It feels sensitive and almost like a burning sensation. And that is a direct result of me being on my laptop, for example, or on my smart screen. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, you can find this article on Waking Times, and it's prominent biochemistry professor warns 5G is the stupidest idea in the history of the world. Now we're going to talk about an article that I found in The Guardian. And this is a conversation about the age of the autosexual, the people sexually attracted to themselves. Have you heard about this trend? So this is from The Guardian. It was published on March 4th, and I'll read you a little bit. I've got a couple of sources here. Are you turned on when you look in the mirror and enjoy nothing more than a steamy night at home alone? You could be an autosexual. Okie dokie. So before I read all that, I always love to go to one of the wisest source on the internet called the Urban Dictionary. Because sometimes it's so funny the way that they describe some of these terms. No offense to anyone. Autosexual, according to the Urban Dictionary, sexual orientation towards oneself. That is, preferring self gratification over other forms of sexual activity. It often occurs as a result of numerous failed attempts at interpersonal relationships, leading the individual to make a conscious choice to become autosexual rather than face disappointment and frustration yet again. I don't know. This is just one of the things, one of the perspectives on Urban Dictionary. It may be observed with greater frequency in the near future. I'm skipping that point. Numerous advantages of autosexuality include no risk of pregnancy, no risk of STDs being transmitted, able to get lucky every time at a bar or club. The sex is always good, no relationship issues like jealousy or cheating partner. I mean, are there any bad things to say about it? And listen, at first, when I was thinking about, when I found this article on The Guardian, I was like, pero qué es esto? Like, it makes me feel so sad that in this age, when there is so many more ways of communicating, we seem to be further apart in our human-to-human relationships. And so my question is, as I present to you these ideas, is, where are we moving? Is this idea of autosexual, the people are sexually attracted to themselves? I mean, listen, I get the self-love aspect. Is this coming from a self-love aspect, or is this coming from the perspective that I have just given up on human beings? So this is the way that the Guardian posted their message, so I could read it to you. Un momento, por favor. I feel like I need to find some musiquita. Let me see. All right. Name, autosexuality. Age, exactly as old as I am. So this is like having a conversation with yourself. Appearance, beautiful, fun, charming, attractive, sexy, like me. If you don't mind me saying so, you seem pretty pleased with yourself. Yes, I am, thanks. It's like you're all you think about. I certainly do. Wow, you're really quite full of yourself, aren't you? I wish. Look, I'm trying to insult you. Will you just please act wounded? No can do. I'm too happy. Why? Because I'm head over heels in love. With whom? With me. Wait, who's in love with you? I am. What? My orientation happens to be autosexual. What do you mean? Like a sexy robot? No, not like a sexy robot. Or does it mean that you get aroused by cars like Jeremy Clarkson? It means that I am sexually attracted to myself. How does that even work? Well, I usually start by lighting a few candles and checking I've got fresh batteries then. Stop. If you're talking about masturbation, everybody does that, I hear. Autosexuality is different from autoeroticism. It's more about masturbating to the idea of yourself. I'm afraid the distinction is lost on me. You might, for example, be turned on by your own nudity. In my case, I'm also autoromantic. I literally love myself. What are you talking about? I mean, I get butterflies in my stomach when I think about me. No, you don't. Yes, I do. I go on dates. I go on dates. With myself, and I buy myself romantic gifts. Okay, if you love yourself so much, why don't you marry yourself? I may. The writer Guy of Italy got engaged to herself in 2017 and plans a self-wedding at some point. What's stopping her? Cold feet? She's just taking things slowly. Although I will one day be my own wife. I am enjoying the feeling of being engaged. You are so having me on. I'm not, honestly. Sologamy is a real and growing phenomenon. Lots of people are saying I do to themselves in special ceremonies these days, although it is not legally recognized anywhere in the world. Are you sure this isn't more to do with lonely resignation of people who can't have a relationship with others? Not all autosexual romances are monogamous, even if they are central to one's life. I now realize that my relationship with myself is as valid as any other relationship, says Vital. Do say, who's that pretty girl in the mirror over there? Don't say, look, this isn't working. It's not me. It's me. So I was the guardian. Oh my God. How did that feel? That felt weird for me to be like talking to myself like that. But listen, this is the thing. Daily Wire, Sologamy, the saddest trend you ever heard of. Apparently people are now marrying themselves. This is by Amanda Pregistiacomo. They're marrying themselves. Well, more specifically, Sologamy, women are committing themselves to themselves with their own wedding ceremony. So listen, I did a little bit more research. If this is not harming you, if this is coming from a healthy place where you're saying, I don't know what's happening right now. I'm having trouble being in a healthy relationship. So I'm going to turn that love toward myself. I think that's a healthy way to respond. But please don't give up on love. Please, while you're in this beautiful journey of self-love, when you're honoring yourself, when you are hugging yourself, when you are loving on yourself, taking yourself on dates, buying yourself flowers, eating healthy, drinking lots of water, whatever that self-love is, please don't give up on humans. Please don't give up on relationships. Allow yourself to be surprised. At Botanical, the metaphysical boutique that my sister and I have in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, this is a message that we share with the people that come in all of the time. While you're working on that self-love journey, please don't give up on other people. Surrender it to the cosmos. Sometimes when we surrender, when you're like, I give up, that's when Mr. Right or Miss Right shows up. You just never, ever know. So, ahí quería dejar mi granito. So for my third story in this trending now, I want to talk about this story that I found on the New York Times. Philadelphia bans cashless stores amid growing backlash. So I am pretty sure that you have noticed that there is a growing trend of cashless stores in the country, right? So I have to say, as somebody who has a business, I can see the value of paying with a credit card is fast transactions. So I did find, going through, I have so many tabs open. I wanted to read you this before I gave you, in my humble opinion, the pros and cons of a cashless business. Tech recaps. This is posted on medium.com on April 27th, 2018. The pros of going cashless: there is lower risk of theft. There are more opportunities for a variety of customers. The transactions are faster. Bookkeeping is easier. It will give you access to valuable data. The cons of going cashless: there are cybersecurity risks. Finances are controlled by banks and governments. Some consumers would be left out. There are still consumers who prefer to pay cash versus any other payment method. And you're listening to one. In my humble opinion, I do not think that businesses should just go all cashless. And I'm seeing this trend not too long ago. And there are a couple of businesses here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I'm not going to shout them out by name, but they know who they are. One in particular are coffee businesses. Now, I love coffee. I love coffee so much, I named my podcast after coffee, cafecito, which means a small